All right. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 4 of Conqueror Chronicles. I was not here last week, so you had Vivian and Phoenix last week, but I'm now back. Me and Phoenix are once again here for another episode, and this week we have Revamp from Grin Scythe, teammate of Phoenix. We have Dr. Spike. I don't know his team. My apologies. And then
Spooky, scary
Rory.
skeletons.
Oh, Spooky. Oh, so they're the ones that just beat OTF. Okay. Huge, huge. Okay. And then we have Rory or Nigerian White from ZG. So we have a very, very good lineup this week with a lot of great questions. But first and foremost, just to gauge, a little bit of each team that's here represented on this episode, we just want to learn a little bit about how you guys formed your teams this season. And since we do have two Scythe members here, we're gonna go ahead and start with you, Revamp. Last season you guys came in really close to winning that grand finals, but helmets on, they're just different. They're just different. So you guys went through a little bit of a whole, as you could say, revamp of your team.
Oh,
Um, what was
Jesus
your
Christ.
thought process in that remaking of Grin Scythe this season?
Well, so some names were being thrown around left and right, and we actually did try to get Simba back too, but he's currently busy. So it is what it is there. His computer had died the last season, and we were kind of looking for a couple of people to fill since Moffjats was immortal now. I had played with him for years and years, great support. And then we were looking for a carry too. So I eventually reached out to my buddy Pat, who ended up replacing Casey. Pat, I've played with previous teams, I think in AD2L actually. Very PMA, great guy, positive spin on everything that goes on in the game. And then we have Lambert and Ghidra too that we had picked up. They're pretty solid for the most part. A little bit of communication issues here and there, but every team has their growing pains, we'll call it. So, and then me and Phoenix, we stuck around. There was a point in time where we thought about maybe, I don't know, should we join another team? Should we form our own team, or something like that? Especially with Casey being in the loop too at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But then things happened, and here we are now.
Gotcha.
and me and Revamp are like the faces of Scythe. We're like the stalwarts of the team. But it was interesting though, because I think for a bit there I was kind of in, kind of out. I wasn't
Right.
really sure if I was going to do another season. But
I
you
know
know
what
what?
that's
I
like.
just I just can't quit it. Especially after getting bugged. I mean, helmets on. Sorry, that they won very good though.
Wow.
It was a
Wow.
good final. But
Wow.
anyway,
Ice
especially
cream.
after last finals, I wanted to do one more run. I just can't quit it.
He says
So
one
I
more and then
stuck
he'll be
around.
back next season. Don't worry, everybody.
Yeah, now we're
Oh,
running
100%.
our heads into the wall too, given this
Yeah.
week, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, exactly.
All
Did you
right.
guys check in that lobby if cheats were on, by the way? I never asked.
There's no cheats. There's no cheats. Let me just
Oh,
I
there
just
were
let
there
me
was
make it
noticed.
very clear,
no,
dude.
we just
uh,
enabled bugs, that's all.
Yeah, if
it, there's there's a clear line that says cheats enabled, and I just want to make sure that everyone understands that that wasn't actually clicked, right?
yeah, there was no cheats.
Okay.
And let me make it clear. Helmets on, all great guys. They were a great team. They deserve to win. So that's all I'm gonna say on that.
Okay,
Yep,
Appreciate
buddy.
yep,
That's
yep,
not
yep.
what you said in the DMs when you lost, but it's okay.
Well,
All right,
uh,
all right.
that.
All right, moving on. We'll go to Spike since he's the next captain here on the cast this week. So, Spike, how did your team come together for this season?
Well, Grinder.com needed to give a Dota sponsorship away, and we came to the calling. Just kidding. Honestly, I tried talking to a lot of people in the league, um, to see if they needed a shot caller, captain slash support, and any variation. And I played with a lot of great teams, and nothing like clicked really hard. Some people needed a additional player to go with it, and there were package deals, and other teams couldn't get their full roster together to do tryouts. So I reached out to some guys I played with a very long time ago. We actually hit top 16 with a not very good team in one of the TI qualifiers, and then we got our asses handed to us as we should have. But great guys, and asked them if they wanted to play again. They were down, and got a couple of my other friends that I trust and are good players in their own right and have good communication. You know, the intangibles that sometimes we don't always think about when building a team, but which needs to mesh together. And I think taking lesser skilled players for cohesion is always going to end up giving you better results.
Understandably so. Understandably so. I like to hear it. So you said you guys were, or at least some of your players were a TI qualifying, or like played in the TI qualifiers.
Yeah, we played together. We were taking it pretty serious at the time. We probably weren't as skilled as any of the people we were playing, but we really played well together. And it was back in the tri-lane meta, so it was quite some
Gotcha.
time ago.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
And
Was years
and
ago.
yeah, we thrived. We thrived then. I've been playing Dota since Frozen Throne, so I'm an old school Dota player, and I love this game. I have so many great friends and memories because of it, and gonna keep on playing, getting better.
If I can
Gotcha.
jump in there too, actually. So I remember you said it in the conch chat, but so you brought that stack together what, like a couple hours before the deadline, or
Actually, after the deadline, they said it was Sunday the something, and I went on to like register, and it said it was closed, so I had to open a ticket to just get in. So,
oh,
after I realized that it wasn't going to work out with me with another team, partly because people don't know me yet, and partly because I goof around with my MMR a lot. Not meaning like
goof around.
I mean, I
Yeah.
do. Like, I'm not a carry player, but if I want to play carry Luna for 10 games and like win four of them, I'm gonna do that day. So that's just how I look at Dota, and I want to keep getting better, but also still enjoy the game. And I
Wait,
play a lot, so
You should try PL offlane. I hear it's really good.
it's very good actually. It's
I
very
honestly
good.
think Spike just gave us like the best like conch related comment ever. Is that I goof around with my MMR.
I know, right?
Like
Like no one else
I
can
Yeah.
say
think
that.
that's
No.
actually
I,
like Conqueror coded right there.
I'm sure it's all intentional too, when you're trying to grind, just like myself. So you'll probably see me
Intentionally
in Warrior
goofing.
next season.
Intentionally goofing.
And you know what I will say too, actually, is that I think after this most recent week, you're definitely making a name for yourself, probably for future seasons, because there was that really sick ET play you had, which was really clutch. So I think that'll be you're definitely catching some attention, probably. I would say probably.
I appreciate that. I mean, I believe in myself more than anyone else needs to. So if you guys just meet me halfway, we're gonna take over the world.
Beautiful.
Love to hear it. And then last but not least, of course, we have Nigerian White, aka Rory from ZG, who came into this season actually really hot. Anytime anybody from ZG was talking in Conch Chat, I tuned in because it was one of the funniest messages I've ever seen in Conch Chat. So Rory, from your point of view, how did ZG come together this season? And what is your guys' goal? Because honestly, it seems like you guys are just looking to turn heads and piss people off, which I'm here for. I'm here for it, honestly. So, what is the
Yeah,
goal, and
no,
how'd you guys come together?
we uh, we weren't sure if we were going to go again this year because we've played previous years before. I don't even know if it was the same league, but
Mm-hmm.
all of us went to high school together, so we've all been like,
Oh, damn.
yeah, yeah, no, I want to say like maybe grade 8 or grade 7, we all started playing Dota, and we just we liked it, and we
Mm-hmm.
looked at other leagues or whatever, and we kind of just said, fuck, like let's get a little team going in some little amateur league, and we love it. We all queue rank games together, queue norms together, so we're like, hell, let's let's get a little team going here. We don't have a full 5, so 4 of us, me, PG, Perch, and then Chunklin. We're all the high school guys, and then Justy, our pause 4, is like a mutual friend. He lives not even in Canada like us, but he joined the team, and he's been a great addition this year. We're very, very proud of him.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's been playing really good. I just wanted to jump in there because like I was mentioning, I was talking to Perch a little bit. Is it true? So I don't want to misquote it. Have you guys known each other since like childhood? Is that a thing?
Oh yeah, no, me and Perch and Chunklin, we have lived across the street from each other since we were like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. So we go way back.
Wow, that's crazy. That's like
awesome.
literally HO all over again, dude. These guys are like fucking brothers, bro, and they're playing Dota together. That's really cool, actually. That's
Yeah, I
yeah.
think I started playing in like, what would it have been, like 2013 or 2014. So I told Charlie, well, Chunklin, about Dota or whatever, and then kind of by that way we started playing, and then we got Perchin as well. And since then, I don't think we've touched another video game. We've just been that's our bread and butter.
Yep, welcome to hell.
Yeah, no kidding.
You're in
No
now.
kidding.
You're in.
Once you come
You're
in,
in
you
the
don't go
Dota.
back.
Seriously, everything
No.
else is just like gray compared to it, and it's insane.
That's
No, but it's been
great.
great. We love playing together. We've always done a little bit of a, now we don't know if call it shit talking, but we always like to turn some heads using your words in the chat. But this year we definitely stepped it up, because last year we got into it with Rhino quite a bit. And
Oh, it was previous beef.
oh yes, no, he should
Oh.
remember.
This was
But
important. Okay.
oh yeah, and then we kind of took that on this year, but then it was happening with other people too. So I was like, fuck, like we're just gonna just go with the flow kind of thing. We like to get under people's skin, but in that aspect, I would say.
Okay, so you've kind of embraced being the villains
Exactly.
of the season,
Exactly.
so to speak.
Exactly.
Okay, that's fair. I was gonna actually ask this question for everyone here because I think it's interesting, but I think it's really interesting when there's personalities and things like this that happen, right? Like, for example, right? When OTF was playing Savage, right? Week 2, they were both down 0-2. Who cares, right? In a normal match, who cares? It's just another 0-2 game, right? But with that Frost, the Frost Rhino thing, I felt like it add extra excitement to that series.
Oh, for
You know
sure.
what I mean?
For sure.
And I feel like
For
it's
sure.
the personalities in this league that makes things so interesting to me. Like Chev is a very big personality. It makes his team's matches more interesting, right?
Yep. No, I
You
agree.
have Rhino. He's a very interesting personality. He always goes that he's very confident. It makes his matches very interesting, right? Whereas
Yep.
you take ZG and it's like these guys are coming in here and they're talking mad shit, like just mad shit. And I think I don't know. I mean, if Spike or Revamp want to take it from here, I think that makes the league more interesting, in my opinion. So I'm actually glad they're here, in my opinion.
For sure. You compare it to like any other sport. I feel like you have like a polarizing figure, I don't know, on some team or whatever, make it football, make it hockey, make it soccer. It gives a little spice to the game, you know what I mean? You're not just playing to win, you're playing to rub it in this other person's face as well. Like, hell, you were talking all this, now I beat you, or the other way around.
For sure. Do you have any other comments though, Spike and Revamp? Do you like that type of shit talk? Do you think it's good for the league? Do you think it's bad for the league? Because I've known people that take it both ways. I think some people think it's good, some people think it's bad. So where do you guys fall on this?
Personally, for me, I think it's entertaining. It keeps things spicy. It's fun. I don't. I don't really like to entertain it as much because I can be a hothead at sometimes. So like, it's better if I just kind of stay friendly. And honestly, I prefer friendly. So like, that's where we can keep it at. But like, if someone else wants to smoke, I'll eventually give it to them. But I rather really just like enjoy myself, build a community. I'd prefer to participate less in it than some other people like that. They get their like, I don't know, they get a lot of enjoyment out of it, and you can tell. And I love that for them. And I'm here to support that, and like anything that keeps people active, engaged, and enjoying themselves, playing good games and like building friendships. That's pretty dope to me.
Great. Okay. And Revamp, do you have any comments to that? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing?
Oh, I love it. I just think, when I'm bored and there's nothing else to do,
Open up
besides
the
losing
Conqueror
at
chat.
Dota, yeah, I just, ping someone like Frost, or I'll ping Chev, or I'll ping Rhino, and then I'll say, you're bad, or something like that. And then they'll say, Revamp, you're very bad, stop. Uh, and,
Oh my god.
then I make it my team's banner for next week, and it's really good. Uh,
Great.
But
I like
no,
this
no,
about you.
like there's a fine line, right? Like, so there's been, I would say, some miscommunication, because typing versus actual voice of what you're trying to say, and maybe it was, kind of taunting them to some degree. But then, it's, I don't know, it's like a two-way street. Do I like it? Yeah. Do I like when I'm the center of it? No. But I think it's good. It keeps everyone kind of on their toes. It's not bad, I would say.
That's fair. That's fair. Yoshi, do you have anything to add to this? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad?
Um, I think I'm in the same boat as Revamp here. I think there's a fine line between it because, like, over text, I mean, you can't really tell when people are being like sarcastic and stuff unless you like already like know them beforehand, kind of thing. So if
Right.
like somebody new comes out of nowhere and starts trying to roast, you're like, okay, is this guy like being serious? Is he joking? What's going on? Um, but like people have their personalities, people are already set in conch chat that have their personalities of being toxic and stuff. Like everybody knows that ZG's coming for them and they're gonna be toxic and whatnot, but it's all banter at the end of the day. Um, so it is what it is at the end of the day, but there is definitely a fine line that some people definitely cross at times.
Yeah.
But I think it's definitely needed, especially in an amateur league. It brings more fun to matches and it adds storylines, and especially when people are playing continual seasons in the same division. So I think it's very much needed.
Okay, so we seem to mostly be on the same page there. I think.
Yeah,
But
I also say to that too, like if we're gonna dish it out, we also have the expectation to get it back.
Oh yeah,
I'm
for
not
sure.
gonna
Yeah.
get mad. You know what I mean? Like if I'm putting it out there, it's gonna come back my way. I'm not gonna be upset or angry about it. I just kind of think
right.
that's the way it is. So
Yeah, if you're putting it out, you got to be ready to take it back.
exactly.
So ZG is both pitchers and catchers.
Yeah, yeah. We
That's
give
it.
and receive.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Actually, though, for what Yoshi said, I would say two things to that. Number one, I think that's one of the reasons why ZG's banter caught people off guard this season, though, is that I think you guys are relatively unknown. So I think
Yeah, fair.
I think the amount of of banter you guys put out for being so like relatively new, I think for a lot of people, I think that shocked a lot of people because they were like, "Who the fuck are these guys? Like, who are these guys
Fair.
coming
Yeah,
in saying Shev has a small dick? You know what I mean? Like, who are you guys?
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like what is happening right now? Right now, I had one more question for you, and I know I've been harping on you. So,
Of course, of course.
for what Yoshi said though, do you think that there's ever been a time that you guys have crossed a line? Because I know we we were saying that there's a line. There's like, okay, like you got to do it within reason. Do you think you guys have gone too far sometimes, or do you think it's all been good? Do you think
I'll maybe it doesn't answer your question, but I'll say last week I definitely feel like before the game we were not talking too much, but I definitely think it put off our performance a little bit. I think we were a little bit too in our own heads going into the game. We were almost a little too serious, being like, okay, we got to do this, do that. Whereas that's not our play style. It's all on the fly. We're not planning anything. We're just you go and you play, and you know we usually do well. But last week it felt like something wasn't right, and we kind of talked. We were like, you know what? I think not got in our head. I don't think that would be the right word, but I would think maybe we're thinking about it a little bit too much, even when we were playing. So I know
okay?
that doesn't answer your question, but that's what I would say to that.
I think it kind of does. And what I gotta say, one last thing before we move on, I will say You're talking about how you got to pitch, you got to give and receive. I just also want to mention, Rory, you guys got 2-0. You fucking suck. No, I'm joking. That was a joke. That's a complete
No, I was
joke.
I even messaged the captain the other week who I was chirping, and I was like, "Fuck, like, GG's boys, you fucking cooked us." Like no other words can be said. It was a shellacking.
It was a shellacking. Well, listen, let's not jump the queue here. Let's not jump the queue. I love that. That's fucking awesome. Okay, good. All right, well, for the next part here, let's talk about how the games went for this week, because I think there's been some very interesting matches this week. I think a lot of the matches for our guests here and me included, obviously, were of higher quality. I think a lot of people were interested in how they went. So I think Revamp. How do you think the matches went this week? Obviously, we got 2-0'd pretty convincingly. We got fucking taken out back and fucking old Yeller behind the barn. So I mean, if sorry for spoilers on that if anyone's not seen that. Anyway, so Revamp, how do you think the matches went for us this week?
They went great. They actually went better than I expected. No, we got our teeth kicked in. It was 0-2, like you said. Game 1, Shadow Fiend, hell of a hero. What's his name? Jaysar. Did I say it right? On the Pango. Really good. It was really impressive. He can really maneuver that hero better than I thought. It's not to discredit him or anything like that, but he made the hero feel like stronger than I thought that it was. Game 1 was just a wash, in my opinion.
Did they play the SF carry? Where did they?
Yes, yeah, the SF was carry,
Okay.
and then in game 2, I should have banned it out. I thought that we could deal with it, but it was the same thing again. I feel like game 2 we had a better chance of actually, tying up the series 1-1. But there was a couple miscommunications that happened. Roche fight, and I think we were trying to defend a T2 with a lifestealer that didn't have items at the time, and it was not good.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. It was obviously not good because we got fucked. So
Yeah, no, we got bent over, like you said.
yeah, to add to that, I'll get my own kind of opinions as well here. I do think that Revamp's right. I think there was a couple draft issues throughout, especially game 2. I like it was funny because I remember at one point we literally called the Mars. We were like, they're gonna pick Mars here, 100%, and then they proceeded to pick Mars. So I mean, that always feels bad, but I would also say that he's right, that I think there's a little bit of I want to say lack of synergy that's going on in some of the lanes. In particular, it seems like the safe lane this season's going a little bit not as good as I think we were hoping, especially from last season. I think last season Revamp really worked really good with a lot of our both the carries. So hopefully we're going to get some type of improvement on that front, because I think that Revamp really excels at making the carry shine. Like it was Simba and then it was Rhino. I feel like that lane usually went pretty great, and I feel like this season it's been really struggling. So I'm hoping to see either some improvements, some changes there on that front. But I would say on the plus side for us though, it's a lot of fun to play with Pat, like he was mentioning before. Pat's a lot of fun to play with. He's such a blast. It seems like he never has a bad time. Even when we're getting 2-0 stomped, he's always like nothing but smiles. It feels like it's awesome. Same as Ghidra. It's been good for the most part.
Right.
I think for my other thing too is that I probably didn't give SMD the enough respect. I think they played very well. They definitely made us look fucking stupid. And I probably should have been more dialed in, I guess, but they, kudos to them. They definitely shellacked us. So very interested to see how they do next week. And yeah, hopefully we can put up a better performance for next week, because I do think we're one of the better teams. But I mean, obviously with a 4-4 record, it's not looking great. It's a little weird because it seems like we either 2-0 or we get 2-0'd very convincingly. Like I
Right.
think in all the games we've 2-0'd, it's been very very confident, very easy. Like we've really just done it. But then in the games that we lose, it seems like we get absolutely skull fucked. So it's a very weird duality, actually. But I'm hoping for a rebound next week. We'll actually talk about next week matchups after this, because the schedule is out, by the way, for anyone interested. So Yeah, we'll talk about that next. But to jump over to Spike here, you guys had a very interesting matchup this week. Very, very interesting, to say the least here. From my understanding, if OTF got 2-0'd, they would be out of playoff contention. So the fact that they didn't get 2-0'd makes them in, at least, so it's even more interesting. But how do you think the series went? Talk to me about it, because,
Sure.
very, very high-profile team here, obviously.
Honestly, I think they have a lot of talent on that team, and if they stay together for another season, I think that'll do them well if everyone's committed to each other. I see a lot of individual talent that doesn't know how to work together at times, or possibly some different ideas, or maybe some personal selfish interests in regards to, I want to get this item, or I want to clear this farm. And that gave us a lot of openings when we were playing them, to find that player that was looking for the farm in that moment. But they're a great team. I wouldn't go ahead and play them and think, hey, I'm getting some easy wins. Like, you have the opportunity to get your ass kicked at any moment, like we did in game two. Um, but game one, we just made some pretty high level plays. I found them in the Roshan pit with a blind smoke. One of the things I think, as far as me being a captain and what I bring to the team, is just I know where you are in general in the fog, and just knowing the game sense and what's going on. And I'm always telling my team, get back, you're about to die. And then sometimes they die, which happens. But we caught them. We caught them in the Roche pit, right? And Tree was sitting on the high ground, trying to break our smoke. So I went far right, and I got a great echo stomp and an earth splitter. And I felt like that's when the game really kind of turned in our favor, and we got so much momentum. Adversely, we would have been, taking fights very cautiously, as they had Aegis, and the game was pretty even. So I think they're a solid team. Like, I know all the shit talking hasn't equated to the results that they probably had for themselves in the rest of the league. But like, if they do keep winning, like, I wouldn't. If they somehow sneak in the playoffs, like, you probably don't want to play them. And I would say the same thing about our team.
Okay, yeah, that's really interesting. I will say too, I think the reason why it was at least shocking to me, I believe you guys had a stand-in as well, correct? It was your mid player too, which I think is your highest ranked.
Yeah, not just highest drink. Jimmy's a really solid player, well under his MMR. Very talented, skilled. One of my best friends in Dota. He is just sometimes an idiot with his builds, and I think because that's what he finds fun in the game, and I appreciate him for who he is. And if he ever buys a BKB, he's probably gonna like get into like top 2,000 immortal. Um, but until then, like, I will deal with his Mage Slayer and his whatever the fuck else he builds that game, and love him for who he is.
Well, I'll have you know, if you build a Mage Slayer and a pipe on the team, it's essentially the same as a BKB. So let me
And
just give you that on good authority.
Oh, they combine now?
this is true. So yeah, I mean, it was with a stand-in, and I think Blunted really exposed my stand-in in the second game with the OD. Um, I was doing a lot of coping management, explaining that, like, we will be okay and we'll be able to team fight our way out of it. Blunted had him crying a little bit. I know I probably shouldn't say that, but like, why not? Let's give them some power they deserve. Like,
And I
um,
also think that Blunted is like pretty universally glazed as probably the best mid in the league, and like I know Rhino likes to say it a lot, but he's probably right. I mean, I've never played against him, but people do seem to think that he is the best mid in the league. So
That mid I
we can
played
we can give
against
him that.
last night was pretty fucking good.
Okay, well we're gonna get there. Don't
I
you
don't know who
I've
worry.
he
seen a
is, but
lot of
Don't
he
great
was
mids.
pretty
I
good.
think I think Milkbox is great. I think my mid is great. I think
I think I'm pretty fucking great too.
Yeah, my
Actually,
mid's pretty good.
while we're
There's
throwing
no
up
way to
mids
put me
here,
up.
it's like,
you blame yourself. Like I was getting there.
oh,
And
okay.
you think I would leave you out? Like I'm not
Oh,
an idiot. Yeah.
I'll have you know that Caleb didn't put me S tier, so I mean,
It's
I don't
either
know. I
Viper or
guess,
Sync at this point.
yeah.
I've played
So,
enough games with you to know like what I'm getting when I queue up with you. Like I like the results, so I'm not gonna leave you out of there. But no, I think Blunted is maybe very mechanically sound, and I think as he gets his game knowledge up, not to say that it's not there and that he doesn't have any, but just as it gets better than it already is, he's going to be pretty scary, and it's always cool to see people develop, and that's partly because of his age. I don't know how much Dodo experience he has, but as that increases, he's going to get even better, and hopefully he's like hanging out with the right people that play the mid position and want to help him, and I wish him all the best.
well, I'll have you know that he's hanging out with Rhino, who's a great influence on him. So don't you worry. Okay, he's gonna be molded into a great Dota player, of course.
What
But
who's coming down from Rhino's coaching slash player tree? Like
I don't know, dude.
who has Rhino tutored to greatness?
Me, actually, at the end of
There we
last
go.
season, I gotta say, I obviously was just making a joke. I no flame to Rhino. I had a lot of fun playing with him last season.
Yeah.
So of course, I would play with him again. I had a lot of fun. But anyway,
Yeah.
to move on there, just from that though, Rory, obviously we were talking about it last time when I mentioned that you got 2-0'd and that you're shit. Um, how did your games go this week, Rory? How did they go?
It was tough. It was fucking tough. I felt like we didn't draft our usual teams no, I shouldn't say teams, but it wasn't like a ZG draft. I feel like we like to get PG on something not farm orientated, but like just when I think of Spectre, I don't think of that's a hero he's gonna cook on, because like our
Mhm.
offlane is, they're not super high rank. They're great players, but we usually tend to play around our carry a lot, which is PG. And I think last week we didn't really do that. We got alchemisted the first game, and then Huskard the second game, and it felt like we didn't like have a chance in the mid game. It was tough. It was just tough. But we're back to the drawing board. We're reevaluating, and you know we'll make some changes.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And I also just want to point out, extra on
Yep,
how fraudulent that you are, in fact, is that you got 2-0'd with two stand-ins, I believe.
I know,
Um,
right?
which was, one of them was for arguably one of their better players. I mean, I've been talking about him a lot, but one was for Killiua, their carry, and I think
Okay.
the other was for Milk Boxy, their mid. So I think their two core roles they did have stand-ins for. I'd have to double check that.
No,
Um,
they're Alkin Huskar player. I think he's usually on their roster because
oh, is
they're
he?
the
Okay.
core. I think so. The
Okay.
the core guy. He
Stand-in
was
for
the
sure.
support.
Core. Yeah, core is
Yeah,
definitely a
he
stand-in.
played. Okay, and I think he played support. I could double check me there, but he was good. I mean, for a stand-in, I feel like you don't get much better than that.
Yeah,
But
core
yeah,
is
no, they
core
still
is very
fucking
very glazed, as they say.
okay.
What, rightfully so. He's very good. So
Yeah,
I
no,
believe
it's
they're
definitely
4 move to mid, and then they got a stand in carry, and then a stand in 4, I believe.
I think you're right, actually. I
Yeah,
think you're right,
okay.
because I think Juke was saying that his 4 plays mid. So
and
I think that makes sense.
I
There
know
are
the
four
carry.
players a level 30 Huskar.
Yeah, I
God
believe
damn.
so.
God
Yeah.
damn.
Oh, he probably has no life. It's okay. But anyway, anyway, no, I think in all seriousness though, I think that Juke's Angels was widely considered one of the best teams going in. So I think losing to go to them isn't anything to be too rattled about. I mean, clearly you guys are doing good. You've had success with what you've done. I also know what it's like when it's like you go in, you feel like you have to kind of make a change potentially because you're going against a strong team. Maybe you psych yourself out too much. You don't draft for comfort.
Yep.
Happens, I mean, these things happen. But I think that you guys are still good moving forward, though, for sure. And speaking of moving forward, the schedule was out. So I just want to talk about this a little bit and get your guys' opinion on your next week matchup, if that's okay. A little on the fly detour here. For us or Scythe moving forward here, Revamp, we're against Animal Enclosure. So do
Oh,
you have any
Jesus
thoughts
Christ.
about the enclosure filled with animals here? You got a mirror. I think he said that they have a designated other two. I don't remember, unfortunately. I wish I did, but I've had way too many Heinekens. So, how do you feel about going against AE on this upcoming week?
In all honesty, it probably won't be played on a Thursday if they don't have a solid 2. But
I think they do though. I'm pretty sure they do. But continue.
I think I know of one person actually, because I met him in a pub and then we started playing some games together. So I think he is their support and he's pretty solid. The Amir's trying to pick up the pieces from what was Malibu, and that is what it is. So I think it's kind of hard to assess them currently. But didn't they take a game last week?
Didn't Malibu move into team PR representative? He's doing like
Um,
Oh
public
yeah, there you go.
relations. Yeah, he's
There you
doing
go.
public
Yeah.
relations for that team now.
Yeah, that's absolutely what he did. No, but to answer your question though, they actually did not. They got 2-0'd by Jackson 5, which
oh, they
is one of the weaker teams in the division. That was their first 2 wins actually on Jackson 5 was the was 2-0ing AE.
Oh, well, never mind then. We're gonna kick their teeth in.
All right.
I mean, it's as easy as that.
Okay.
All right, all right.
I must have been a different team.
So
Yeah, I
when
mean,
we
go
played
ahead.
those guys, I felt like Heart Run really showed up one game, and then the other game was, I think, kind of stompy, and we had a stand-in to take nothing away from them. Or excuse me, they had a stand-in that just felt kind of
Meh.
shady at the last minute, if you
Okay.
will. They've been through a lot, so like I'll give them the grace of that, and I get they're trying to win. Not something I would have done, but at least I understand where they're coming from. But like I think they're like okay, and probably not one of the stronger teams, but like they were fine. Like if you mess up and you shoot yourself in the foot, you will lose against them. Like that's very possible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
and I mean,
course. Because
I will. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say because having played with Amir for a season, we actually won Warrior with him, me and Simba at the time when he was a part of Grin Scythe. So
Okay.
I kind of know what to expect. His hero pool at least, but everyone else is
Lishrack
probably
Spirits.
a question mark, huh?
Lishrack Spirits.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
All right.
that's weird. Yeah, he doesn't play Viper, so I guess he gets a couple points for that. But
He'll get a
True.
couple points for that.
True.
He'll get a
yeah,
couple points for that. No
yeah.
Viper, no
I mean,
and no
my
DK.
current mid just loves Viper and DK.
Viper's so bad. Imagine
Why
losing as
play anything
Viper.
else? I mean, honestly.
Yeah. Either that or we just give you Sand King twice in a row. But hey, the team this week banned it out, or previous
I
week, so that
know.
was good. They
That's
listened.
actually what that's actually why we lost. Is
Maybe you
that
might need to
Sand King
stop
was
doing
banned.
these podcasts so that way people don't listen.
I know, right? I know. No, I mean, like, for my own opinion on this, I think it's challenging, right? Because, I mean, I will also say, for as much as AE's been through, I mean, they have the same wins as us, so what does that fucking say about Scythe? I don't know. We're fucking dog shit, apparently. But anyway, I will also say it is very hard to prep for them in a way because they've had so many stand-ins, right? It's like, it's very challenging. We can't really
Mhm.
go through their past games because it's like, well, it'll all be different, right? Because I mean, they've all had different stand-ins. But I'm interested to see how it goes. I think that we should match up fairly well. I would obviously hope we're gonna 2-0. A tie is possible. I think given how close it is to playoffs, every 2-0 matters. So I would really hope that we 2-0, of course. But I think it'll be a very interesting matchup. I think there's a lot more interesting matchups though moving forward. I will say that. So Speaking of, actually, I think one of the most interesting matchups might be if I can jump back to Rory here. You guys are playing Savage, so I'm very curious how you think that's going to go, because Savage Spirits is an interesting team this season. I think in the sense of, I think they started slow. They got 2-0'd by Scythe, fairly convincingly. Game 2, Game 1 was close, but they bounced back with an immediate 4-0 in a row, I believe. If I remember rightly, I think they won a lot of games in a row. So they're on a bit of a heater right now. So how are you feeling going against them? Oh yes, they did 4-0 and then they won the fan club. So I think this will be a very interesting matchup. I'm curious your thoughts, Rory.
I think it'll be a nice little eye opener after we got stomped last week. I'm not expecting that. I mean, I don't really follow along with teams and like names that much. I mean, if I see your name in the chat, I might remember, but no, we feel good. We're gonna go in like we always do, have fun, and fucking kick some ass.
I love
Can
that.
I
You know
ask a
what?
question to
Of
Rory
course,
real
of
quick?
course.
Rory, you said you guys go in and just have fun. Does that mean you guys aren't scouting at all? Do you
No,
not care
zero,
what the other teams are
zero,
playing? Like you're just
zero
like,
scouting.
hey,
I
let's
mean,
crack a beer and fuck shit up.
oh yeah, no, that's
All right,
us. I mean, Justy,
cool.
Oh,
our pause 4, he'll look at like a little bit of Dota buff, maybe like 10 minutes before, and get
Hmm.
some possible bans. But I mean, other than
Okay,
that, no, we like to go in with closed eyes and just do our thing.
I appreciate that. I try hard as hell, and I'm looking at like everything anyone's ever played. So that's cool to see. Like you guys are
you know
just
what?
showing up to play,
Spike, I'm in
You
the
know
Yeah,
same
what?
boat too. Like I post ward spots and everything like that. My team just
It's
right?
doesn't
true.
use it. You
same,
know,
Yeah,
like the
he
obvious
same.
actually
ward
does
spots.
do
I don't
that.
even
He
use it.
actually
I
does.
just post
Yeah,
them and then I forget about them.
he literally there's like a whole chat. You literally just post a bunch of
Yep,
fucking
just
shit that
post
I
it.
never look
Like this
at.
is
He's
what
like,
we should
oh,
ban. I at least
That's what I
reference
do.
that.
Yep,
that's
yep.
awesome. You know what though? That's like Rory's like after my own heart. Maybe it's a Canadian thing. I don't know. Cause I say I literally show up, bro. I have like 4 beers on my desk. I'm like, all right, one after the other. Let's
Oh yeah,
do this.
yep.
Let's do
That's I'm
this.
very similar that way.
I
It's my Thursday night vice. A little bit of Dota, a beer or two.
Fuck,
That's
a beer, 2 or 10. Fuck, I
Yeah.
love it. I fucking love it. All right, Spike. Well, listen, I also, I mean, you've got an interesting matchup as well. I think. I think you guys are two maligned teams, if you pardon me saying that. Obviously, very interesting. Both of you 3 wins. You're against DUI, so Dota under the influence. Caleb Sparks' team. I think Caleb's a really good carry, so I think you guys will be tested in that front. But how do you think you match up against them? Are you excited? Do you think you're going to 2-0? You feeling good?
So Caleb actually reached out to me. He was one of the coolest people in the league.
He's
Being
super cool. He's a super cool
yeah,
guy.
being newer in the league and just reaching out and saying hi, and didn't feel like he really had an agenda, and just kind of him and Juke, and obviously yourself and Revamp and Chev. Everyone's been pretty cool to me, and shout out to those guys and anyone else I might have forgotten, but. We scrimmed them actually, so we got some time with each other. I know a couple of their players pretty well from just pubbing over the years, and scrim results are not indicative of the future results. But we won 2 of those games, um, and I don't know what has changed with their team, but I know when we played them before, there was just like a lot of opportunities for like pickoffs and knowing where some people were where they weren't. But other than that, I mean, I'm very confident that I have one of the better teams in the league. We are just idiots at times, doing idiot things, and I have a couple loose cannons on my team that are really talented, and I spend a lot of my time kind of like sheepdogging them. Um, so I think we can 2-0 them, but I wouldn't just be like, oh, they 2-0'd us. How did this ever happen? I think the league's really competitive, and that's one of the coolest things is like I feel like you have to show up and you have to play and you have to be using your brain to try and win these games, and that's what I love most about this league.
Yeah, I think the season is actually pretty interesting. I'm not sure if anyone has any other different opinions here. Yeah, some people here probably haven't played as many seasons as the rest, but I would say that this season in particular feels weird because I feel like on a good day, a lot of the teams can beat the other team, which I think is interesting because I think last season in particular, like 'cause it's the closest one I can think of, I feel like there were some clear standouts and some clear laggards. But I feel like this time around, like I don't know, I feel like all these teams are pretty evenly matched. Like I feel like on a good day, Scythe has proven to be able to 2-0. I feel like we could 2-0 or 2-1 a team if we're having a hot day. Same thing with Savage, on a good day, they've been proven to be able to 2-0. The fan club has done very well. I feel like we're all just playing by degrees here. Like it's very, very similar. I mean, that's ZG, of course, as well. They've clearly been able to beat teams as well. So I would say this time around, it's a very competitive league. I'm not sure. I know Revamp's played a bunch of other seasons. Do you agree with that assessment? Do you think it seems like it's like a lot of the teams are pretty neck and neck, or
Yeah, like you said, like it just depends on the day, I guess, that, and it's almost kind of like a coin flip. Like, are you mentally prepared? Or like, is your team going to gel tonight or something like that? Because I know, yeah, it's true. Like, if you're in the mood to play, like, you're probably gonna pop off. But if you're not, then it's gonna be rough goings. And I think more than one team has experienced that. Like you said, Savage had a slower start, but now they're like picking up, right? I believe they're what, 5-3 now?
I believe so. Yeah, I know they're 5 wins, so I
Yeah,
believe they're
yeah,
5-3. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's good that they found something that's working for them, and with us too, we started. It's like win a week, lose a week, win a week, lose a week. Like I don't know what the hell's going on, but it just seems like it's either for us like we're mentally prepared to play, or like we're just not feeling it that night. And it kind of sucks to say that, but it feels like that's what it is.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I would agree.
But yeah, the
Completely.
overall, batch of teams that we have in general, yeah, I like I said, I think it could go either way, depending on, just if I guess if you're feeling it that night or not.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And this is a common question that I like to ask people as well, but we've done it a couple other weeks, but I always like to get different takes on it for sure. I'll start with Rory, because he is also a mid player. How do you feel the meta is for mid? Because on my end, I feel like a lot of things are viable right now. I think it's a pretty interesting pool, but how do you feel about the meta overall, especially after the most recent patch? There's been a bit of a correction. Do you like playing mid this patch? Do you think some things should be changed? What are your thoughts on things?
Yeah, I'd say it's in a pretty decent spot. Um, I mean, it's kind of different. Whereas I feel like previous years or whatever, it was you pick the spirits, whatever, and you're feeling good. Whereas now I feel like it's a lot more complex. It's not like I like to play Ember a lot, but it's just I feel like it's so much harder now because there's so many other heroes you can play mid as well. I mean, that's taken away from like your Huskars and your whatever's things that are just naturally good. But just I feel like now, like you see, like Sand King, like beefy strength heroes, like have a role to play in mid now, and I think that's really changed things up. Like the fucking what's it called? The heroic game today. They put Sand King mid, and he just fucking takes over the game even after the nerfs.
Oh yeah,
So
Sand King's still really good, I think.
Yeah.
right, like it's just it's different now. You can't just expect to play a good mid hero and be okay. It's like you got to know, no, like you can literally play fucking not anything, but fucking close to anything fucking mid now. It's different. I mean, I've been playing a little bit of Storm Spirit recently, and I think he's getting a little bit looked over. I think that's a fucking strong hero right now. And I mean, a few teams are playing it, here and there, but I think we're gonna see a little bit of that coming. I don't know about for ZG, and I'm not giving anything away, but definitely we're seeing.
I'd ban
I
it.
expect to see. Well,
I'll
I
take the bait. Ban that shit.
expect to see some Storm either in pro games or in ZG's games. One of the two. I'm not going to tell you which, but one of the two.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair though. I see. I would kind of agree with you. I was saying it last week, I think too, but I think that the mid pool right now is pretty interesting. I think a lot of heroes can be played mid and can excel. Um, to a degree, I mean, I think what you were saying there can kind of be with a lot of like patches in the sense of I do think that it's very matchup dependent, right?
For
Like
sure.
I think obviously like if you know your matchup, you can play a lot mid, right? Like it's kind of
Yep.
always been that way.
Yep.
But I would agree that in particular now it's pretty interesting that I think a lot of like strength mids, I think a lot of mids right now are viable, is what I would
Yep.
say. And I don't think there's a very standout, especially after the patch. I don't think there's a huge standout that's clearly the best. Like clearly, like okay, you have to pick this, right? Like I don't know.
Yep.
I think Sand King's still very good. I was saying this last week too. I think he's still very good. I think he excels at all the things he already excels at. He can take stacks. He can push his mid. He has huge team fight impact.
He's
All
got a stun.
fantastic. He's got a stun. Very fantastic. I think you're right. I think that's a decent shout. Storm does all those same things for the most part. He can push his mid. He can take stacks. He has well, not a stun, but he has a disable.
Yep.
He can
Yep.
do a lot of things that you were mentioning. The only difference, of course, is that Sand King's very beefy, and his team fight
Yeah.
is arguably easier to execute. Right?
Yep.
If you channel Epi, Blink, Stun, you're gonna have impact, no matter what the fuck happens to you. You're
Yep.
always gonna have
That
impact.
storm shard
So
too.
yeah,
I'm
and the
telling you,
Storm
that
Shard.
storm shard is fucking good.
Not to mention his
It
Ags
gets.
is fucking
Yep.
goaded too. His
Yep.
Ags is insane. So yeah, yeah, that's very interesting. I'm always interested to hear mid people's point of views, obviously, because I'm a mid player, of course.
Yeah.
Yoshi,
I've just been playing
let's
Quap
throw it over to
recently,
you. Oh, Quap.
so
Oh, Quap's good too, actually. Fuck.
that's all I've been playing. So I'm thinking. I'm not saying I'm changing it up, but still, Quap's still in the pool. But
Ban that
it's
one.
been.
Ban that one, boys.
Gross.
We
Get
got
that
him. We
shit out
got
of
him.
here.
We got him, dude. We actually
That
got
was
him.
easy.
That was
This guy's telling us everything we want
I
to know.
know, he's like a book.
all
Yeah.
CG strats
Open
leaked
book.
right now,
Ready
dude.
to read.
No, that's a good hero though. I think Quap is arguably a little slept on too. I think with a Dagon too, like it's so fucking annoying playing against a Quap when she blinks in Dagons and ulties and she's like got like fucking like 5 million. Don't even get me started.
It's a
Actually,
lot of fucking damage. It's a lot.
it's ridiculous is what it is. But anyway, Yoshi, it's been a bit for you. Do you have any thoughts on the D patch, or I don't even remember what the fucking letter patch was, but the most recent patch? Do you have any thoughts on that? I know you play offlane in 4, so I thought you might have some good insight on this.
Um, I said it 2 weeks ago on the podcast when we were talking about the meta, and I'll say it again because my point of view still stands on it. I think Axe is still very much underrated in the offlane role. I played it last week in RD2L, and I completely smashed a Luna after she tipped me 3 minutes into the game.
Of
For the
course,
rest
he
of the
remembers
game,
that. Of course, he
uh,
remembers
after
Luna
that,
does too.
after that tip,
Fair on her
that
part.
Luna had like no more game the rest of the time. It was very fun. I think Axe can stand up very well against a lot of the carries and the mids of this current meta. And you just don't see Axe enough, and I don't know if that's because people just aren't confident playing Axe or they don't like him enough. I don't know, but I feel like a lot of this meta, like Axe, just thrives against a lot of the carries specifically. So that's for offlane. For the 4 position, I'm starting to get a little bored of playing 4 just because it's like the same thing over and over and over again. So I'm kind of getting to the point where I'd like the meta to just shift into something new a little bit. So yeah, just a little.
okay.
I'd love something new a little bit.
Okay, fair enough. And I mean, well, hopefully Valve doesn't keep us waiting too long. I mean, I'm a very impatient person, and it's been a long time, so I'm hoping for some fucking some new things to come out. But Spike and Revamp, I think you both play 5 if I remember correctly. So I think it'll be interesting to hear some differing opinions on this potentially. So Spike, I'll start with you because you're not on my team. So what are you thinking about this patch? Do you want some changes? Do you like this patch? Do you hate this patch? Tell me how you
I
feel.
want to. First thing I want to say though is to everything you guys just said, and I didn't want to interrupt, but Dota players in the community has this weird thing. If a hero gets any kind of nerf, even if it's like very reasonable, because we all know the hero needs it, like the community abandons the hero, like for a while, and like you see that with Sand King still being good, and some other heroes. So I think that's just something that we do for some reason, where people just like, oh, the hero shit now, and like you go back and you read, and it's like, oh, it's 5%. It's like probably still good. It's not that big of a nerf. But as far as the current meta, I'm so ready for something new. I think they did a great job this year with the facets. It's really cool. I think when the facets came out, it opens up opportunities for one hero to serve different roles and be more flexible. DK illustrates that really well right off the bat. Um, but as a whole, I feel like there's many heroes that really only have one facet that you can use, and the other is just kind of like meme time. So I'm excited for that next patch to show us, the next layer of Dota. Right now, I think things feel kind of stale, in my opinion. I'm not real excited to play a lot of things. I've even like started playing Bristleback 5 with the nasal just for fun because I'm kind of bored. But I think overall it's pretty healthy. There's no one support hero that is just like we have to ban. And the few that are up there like Shadow Demon, um, Wyvern, ET, when you're playing me, that need banned every game, so I don't have to play it every game, would be great. But I don't know. I love this game. I think it's the best game ever, but it's feeling a little stale to me. And I'm looking over like some of the win rates and changes from the D patch, and I didn't see anything like change the meta yet. The bracer change is obviously one of the biggest ones, and while it has changed some things, and the Gleipnir change, I haven't noticed the meta fully shifting like I would hope after a TI patch.
Yeah, I think that I was mentioning it I think last week too. I think that the bracer like the bracer change was a huge change because I think
Hmm.
before it was very common for supports in particular. You just stack bracers, right? Like you become
Hmm.
fucking unkillable. Like at minute 30, all of a sudden you got fucking all this strike, all this HP. It was such a pain in the ass to deal with. So I think
Not
that that
even
was a
unkillable, even just taking another spell off the table. Like being as a support player, sometimes you're just the Lincoln Sphere for your carry and you're gonna eat another spell, and that's what those bracers were doing.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I was saying it last week, but definitely I don't know. I want a big change back to when heroes felt killable. I feel like
Hmm.
heroes don't feel killable anymore. There's like fucking like a million saves, a million. I don't know. It's just annoying. Anyway, let me just before I go on a
That's
rant
the
here.
midden. That's the midden you're coming out. You're like, I
That's
want to
that's the
show
mid.
up and kill them and collect my gold and go farm.
I want to just
I
fucking
mean, doesn't
zip
Viper
in.
do that?
I mean, yeah. I am more than
You
just a
slowly
viper.
roll
I
down the
am more than
lane.
just.
I don't know what more you could want.
I mean, all right, all right. Says the guy that drafts me Viper and DK over here. He's talking
I
real
mean,
big
you
for
love it.
someone
You're
to.
like, you know what, Revamp? It's a really good Viper game.
That was actually the
Fine.
best
Or you know what,
Phoenix
DK
impression I've
looks
ever
pretty
heard.
solid here.
That sounds
That was
exactly like
actually
me,
spot
actually.
on. Yeah.
Yep, it's
Yeah,
spot on. Yeah.
that's a really good impersonation. Just wait until you guys hear my Viper impersonation. It's
Yep.
really good.
Let's hear it.
Anyway,
Let's
Yeah,
hear
he's
it.
done it
you know,
before too when he gets real
no,
shit faced.
no, well, I'm almost there. But anyway, for revamp here, just to close the show out because I know I've kept you guys a fairly long time. I appreciate your guys' patience and staying with me as long as you have. But revamp for you, the patch. How you feeling about it? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What would you change? Do you think that the five pool's pretty diverse? I feel like the five pool's pretty diverse, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Give me
Spike
your
covered
thoughts.
it pretty well, and people are banning out heroes that, even Lottie was saying that they should be banning out when they're facing me, or I guess, yeah, just me. Witch Doctor and, the Dark Willow, but I don't know. Uh, so instead of talking about the patch, I'll talk about what I'd like to see happen. I think something that'd be pretty interesting is changing the Roche location, having it in the triangle of each side, and then maybe doing some sort of like putting the large camp where that used to be, or like moving the camps around kind of deal to accommodate that. And then Roche runs. He runs down the river through mid, and then goes to the other camp when it's his time to switch.
Mm.
Okay. I like
Because it would
that. I
kind of
like
mess
that.
around with the mid too, right? With like creeps and stuff like that. Because when Roche runs through anything, I think creeps included, or it might just be heroes. He does damage to them, so I think that'd be kind of interesting.
Do you want to add anything, Rory?
No, I mean, I don't know. That sounds more. I mean, sure.
Sounds
I don't know.
chaotic.
Like,
I
I
mean,
just
because
feel like it
like
would
right
be.
now, it just feels like it. So like if you're trying to take Roche, it feels very hard to do. If you're already set up as the team, and maybe that's the intended idea, but you're always thinking a coin flip, like when you go through the portal, or the gate rather. It's like, all right, are we just gonna team wipe here and lose, But uh, it,
Yeah.
it might be easier to like accelerate the game too. That's what I was kind of thinking because it seems like games kind of drag out at least for me, to about 40 to 60 minutes, depending, and then you get into that weird spot. So maybe if Roshan is inside of your jungle, it might be easier for one team to kind of like get that leverage and then snowball off of it to make the games quicker.
Well, you know
That's what I
what?
was thinking at least.
Games tend to draw out 40 to 60 minutes unless you're on Grin Scythe last week or Zealous Gaming, which did both lose in under 40 minutes. So
Oh yeah, well
we
yeah, good.
do
I guess
suck.
we don't need that then. That's fine. Yeah, just
I
take what I
guess.
said and throw it out the window. That's fine.
We
I
could have
guess we
called it
just
a mini 20 last week too.
yeah.
It was
I
that
guess
bad.
you could have just we just both suck a dick. But anyway, I appreciate you guys all coming in here. I think we are gonna stop it there. I appreciate everyone's time, and we will see you guys on the next episode of Conqueror Chronicles.
Cheers. Thank you,
Sounds
boys.
It
good.
was a
Thank you.
pleasure.